let's talk about how to read pitches in piano music. In order to get you quickly started, probably the very first note that any pianist usually learns is called middle C. So middle C gets its name because it's literally in between the two staffs. You just add one legend line, and whether you write it for the treble clef sign, treble staff, or the bass staff, it looks exactly the same. And this is called middle C. And where this is located on the piano is usually where your piano logo is. This is what middle C would sound like. It's the, C's are where the two black key groups are. First one. If you have a full size keyboard, then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 C. So this is also known as C4 because it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4 C from left to the right. Yeah. So this is one of the landmark notes. Landmark as in, if you memorize a few notes that you're able to read more quickly, then, they can help you orient where you are in terms of the note reading. So another landmark note is where your treble clef sign is. Your treble clef sign is always written on the second line from the bottom, and this is also known as G clef. So treble clef is also known as G clef because the line note on where the treble clef note, sign is G, above middle C. So every line or space on the staff has a very specific place on the piano. That's why piano visually is probably the easiest instrument in terms of like knowing where the notes are, because every note will be very different, right? So this is middle C, and that G, particular G, is right above the G that's above middle C. So that's where G clef line is. And then let's look at the bass clef. Another name for bass clef sign is F clef. Okay, and the line note that occupies the same line as F clef or bass clef sign is the F right below. So these are some of your landmark notes. As soon as you see the note that's on the F clef, then you should know that it's F right below middle C, and middle C is where your piano logo is usually, or it's the 4C from the bottom, and the G is the one right after that. Yeah. And how the note reading works is you alternate space note, line note, space note. Let me erase this really quick. So I'm starting at middle C. And then, middle C is a line note, so the one after that is space note. I mean, it's not in between two lines, but it's right below the line, and it will be D right next to it. So as it goes higher on the staff, you're going to the right side of your keyboard. As it gets lower, you're going to the left side. And the next line, the first line on the treble clef sign, it will be the note that's right next to it, E, and then F is the space note, so forth. And then as you get lower from the middle C, because the middle C only has like one legend line, right? So the next note down will be, before C is B, and then going down is A. And let's do one more down will be G, right? Because the musical alphabet stops at G and then repeats A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So this will be the G. Okay, so this is the low G that we have, and then A, B, and then C, D, E, F. So it always rotates. line note, space note, line note, space note. Yeah. And when the notes are right next to each other, we call this seconds. What in the world does that mean? Second is an indication for interval. So the fancy word is interval. And the word interval means distance between two notes. So if they're next to each other and you're always counting the note you're on and the note you're going to. So if you're next to each other, it's called second because it's 1, 2. So what if I went one more? Then I call this a third because it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, and fourth, right? So it's the distance between any two notes. Here's another fourth. And how about this one? Take a time to count for yourself. And this one will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. The main key is to always count the note you're on as well. The typical mistake that I see in a lot of students is that they start counting one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, this is a 6. No, it's actually a 7. And every eighth note, also known as octave, because there's 8 notes, is where the same letter repeats. Because there's only 7 different letters in the musical alphabet. So one key term for this week is interval, distance between two notes.